Hey, Brett here. Tonight's theme is hips. Hips. I'm going to be doing two poses at least, and you've seen me do these a million times if you've watched the videos. If you haven't watched the videos, well, you haven't. First one is going to be good for the front of the hips and also underneath right here and sometimes back here. These are the places where you're likely to feel it here, here, and here. But we're going to do it in halvesies. So I'm going to do the right half and then the left half. Looks like this. I'm going to bring my right foot up to my right hand. I'm going to rotate that foot out. I want my leg to be parallel or even forward a little bit. And then this leg can drop out or not. I'm going to rest into it by stretching my back leg back and then just sort of resting in. Now, when I started doing this, I used props. This is a great way to do it. Give yourself some support. All you care about is the feel. Doesn't matter what it looks like, it's what it feels like. I'm still getting a good stretch here, and I'm getting a good stretch here. This is actually a very effective stretch, though I would say I would put a pillow on this because I'm going to put a bruise on my arm. So there we go. That's actually a really good stretch. In fact, it's gonna kick my left hip in about another 30 seconds. It's almost too much the way I'm doing it. And that's the thing. You might find a pose is much more intense here versus here, or it's going to be differently intense depending on the angle. So blaster, that's one side. That's going to be two poses, one on each side. That's going to be 5 minutes each. Then the other one is butterfly. And there's various forms of butterfly, but I'm going to have my feet together, very far apart, about four fists width, and I'm going to lean forward into it. This is going to open up here. So that's really gonna these two poses are really great for hip openers, and I would do these for 6 or so months, and then maybe start working on the front splits and the side splits if you're so inclined as I am. So that's the intro to the poses. I'm gonna go ahead and get into the one, and I'm gonna talk through a few of the principles while I'm doing this, and then that'll be the end of the short. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and do my left side first, just because I already talked about my right side. So I'm gonna swing my left foot up to my left hand. I'm gonna rotate that left foot out. I'm gonna actually bring my foot just a little bit forward. I actually lift up on my back toes and stretch my back leg back. And then I'm just gonna hold something like this for right now. And I'm gonna be making adjustments throughout. Alexa, 5 minute timer. So principle one, wet noodle. I wanna be as loose as I can. Now in this pose, I might lock out my arm because I can support myself, or I might use a prop as you already saw, but I'm going to try to be loose wherever else I can be. I'm going to actually just sort of relax into under my left leg and into my front right hip. And that's a really nice stretch right there. That's really nice. Now, it does take a little practice to get to the point where your arms don't get tired from doing this. And my arms, I can't hold it like this the entire time. I'll be making adjustments, but also it's very good in the long term to just get good to get good stability in your arms and good strength. You're gonna get more power lifter type muscles than like really large muscles. Breathe to relax. That's number two. 4-8 breathing. Take in a quick inhale to a count of four and exhale to a count of eight. When you inhale, your pulse increases a little bit depending on your heart rate variability. The healthier you are, the higher variability you have, more rested your body is, etc. As you exhale, your pulse slows. So if you inhale for less time than you exhale, over time, you're going to reduce your pulse. It also stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system. Anytime you're breathing 5 breaths a minute or slower, for most people, unless you're 6'2" or higher, then it's more like 3.7 or something like that. These are just numbers I've read. I believe them, but whatever. But if you breathe at a slow rate, you will actually balance your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. And then if you have asymmetrical breathing, where you exhale longer than you inhale, you'll actually be both stimulating you'll be balancing and probably even emphasizing your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest. So what you're doing is you're putting your body in discomfort while simultaneously relaxing. And you can override your body's reflex response by relaxing. So half of what we're doing is learning how to train our nervous system and to be in mild discomfort. What's discomfort? If you can point to a spot, that's probably bad. So if it's stabby, bad, back off slowly. If it's an area, if it's tension, it's probably fine. If it's pressure, it's probably fine. You gotta listen and learn to listen to your body. Good news, in doing that, you're working on your proprioception and interoception skills, and both of those things tend to increase your neuroplasticity. So you're simultaneously softening your brain as you soften your body. And I mean that in actual literal sense. Maybe soften isn't literal, but you are increasing the flexibility of your brain's connectivity. You are stemming off Alzheimer's. You are probably also taking the neurons that are being formed every day until you die in your hippocampus and doing something with them, as opposed to not having them do anything. Oh, wow, something's opening up right there, a whole bunch. Some tension over time. That's the third principle. So principle one was wet noodle. Notice I'm trying to be just sort of floppy. I am pushing over here so I can get a little different balance so I can get the stretch in a slightly different part of the body. So that was one, wet noodle. Number two is breathe to relax, 4-8 breathing. Number three is passive tension over time, 2 to 5 minutes. Why 2 minutes? It takes about 2 minutes for you to really start relaxing. Why 5 minutes? Law of diminishing returns. After 5 minutes for most poses, it's overkill. Other than hips. This one I wouldn't, I have done it for more than 5 minutes, and you do get more, but you can probably get better variety by switching poses after 5 minutes. Exceptions for that would be when I'm doing splits, either side or front splits. I will do those, sometimes I'll do them for 5 minutes, a lot of times I'll just do them for like a long time. Side splits might be 15 minutes occasionally when I'm really feeling up to it, but I gotta be in the mood to do that. Alexa, stop. I'm going back to the classic sequence right now because I'm tired of working on the splits, and then I'll get tired of doing the classic sequence and I'll go back to doing the splits. And the great thing is, while flexibility comes on slow, it doesn't take any energy for your body to maintain flexibility. So you don't lose flexibility that you've gained nearly as fast as you say lose muscles. So and I know this actually, theoretically this is the case, but I know this from personal experience. Alexa, volume up, because I injured myself 6 months into doing this program, and I stopped doing it for 6 months. And then when I started picking it up 6 months later, and I started picking it up 6 months later because I had started the program and I stopped having back pain, which was wonderful. And then after I injured my shoulder doing this, Alexa, 5 minute timer. I stopped, and then I started feeling back pain, so I just started doing it again. The back pain went away, but I also noticed that I hadn't really lost anything, hardly at all. I mean, maybe 10%, maybe not even that, 5%. I mean, I was a little stiff the very first time, but that was about it. And that was more remembering how to relax. You get a lot better at feeling your body, feeling out what muscles are relaxing, and actually, you get a lot better muscle control as you practice the same thing over and over again. Same thing when you're doing software katas. You do the same program over and over again. You can practice it with variations. Like I'm a little twisted here. I'd rather not be twisted, so I'm going to fix that. But there's nothing wrong with that. I'm getting a good stretch here, but this, is a much better stretch. And I know that from experience and practice. So this is quite a bit better than what I was just doing. There are two other principles. I like to call them principles. They're not principles, but I think they're as important. It's how it feels, not how it looks. Sometimes we're doing yoga poses, but our intentions are different, and intentions make a difference. There are things I would do if I in a down dog, if I want to activate it, I would do a lateral rotation in my elbows, but I'll keep my hands in place, and that will engage the ligature, which makes it an active pose. But if I'm going for a restful pose, I'll medial rotate. Medial rotate relaxes those same muscles that we were just engaging, and it makes it a relaxing pose. So am I relaxing, or am I trying to do something active? Or is it yin or yang? Is my looser side for this particular pose? And if you go back to, I don't know, was it 2024 when I don't remember when I started doing these videos. You can notice these poses, you will see a huge difference in where I was then and where I am now. And so, while it's true, you probably get 8% of your total flexibility in the first year. Guess what? You can get 80% of the 20% again. And actually, I think it's possible to keep doing it. And you're very careful to go beyond where you could have gone. Or maybe you can go back to where you were. I was a lot looser with my hips in the 90s, though I'm getting back to much better loose. My hips are much, much better, but they're still tight compared to where I was in the 90s. Also, my tendons are tighter, my ligaments, I'm not sure which. Probably, yeah, probably tendons. And I don't think that's going to come back. It's a little bit much there. My back needs a little bit. It's becoming stabby as opposed to in an area that's much better now. It's pressure as opposed to like pushing in a weird way. Oh, that's too much, actually. Come back out of it. You start to feel it. And you start to notice, oh, you go too far. What happens if you go too far? If you go like, on an arbitrary scale, 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10 is great. 8 out of 10, you can feel it, and you can start to sort of feel a cascading effect where your muscles are about to go tighten up. And so, if you go too far, too fast, you tighten up and you defeat the purpose. So slow and steady wins the race. Alexa, stop. Come out of these pretty slowly, generally. Oh, really stretched. Oh, that was good. Nice. Okay, now butterfly. Okay, for butterfly, do I have? I don't want to use that pen. Okay, start with a block. I'm going to raise my rear just a bit so I can lean over. Okay, now I worked my back. Was it Friday? It's almost repaired, so I'm going to be careful. May not lean too far forward. Okay, so I'm raising my butt so I can get gravity to help me. I want my feet pretty far ahead of me because this is more about leaning forward. So one, two, three, four fists. That's okay. Might be hard to balance on this block. Okay. I'm going to use this to slowly go forward and use this to stop me at a point. I don't like to going of this block at all. Maybe this way. Yeah, that's much better. Okay. Reset up. Okay. Alexa, 5-minute timer. Start like this. Alexa, volume down. Now, if you have a little bit of pressure on your lower back, you can do what's called blockhead. There we go. Got a block. Something like this. And that having this point of pressure will often relieve tension on your lower back. It helps. It's a bit weird doing when I've got it against the pillow, but it does work. But I don't want to do that. Actually, what I want to do is that. And very slowly sliding forward, and here we go. I'm on the ground. Okay, well, it helped while it helps. That was a bit of a cheat. I used the weight of that to pull me down a little bit. Alexa, stop. Coming out really slowly because I stretched things quite a bit. I don't want this on right now. Yeah, I'm gonna drop that. The qigong for just 1 second. I do this in a sitting position, I think. I'm doing this as a transition pose. Pushing my breastbone up while keeping my eyes level and pushing my shoulders back and pinching my shoulder blades. Okay. Well, let's see. I'm technically done with my poses, but I'm going to do one more. Let's see if I can get that thing from the beginning. But anywhere near being able to do this tonight. Oh yeah, I normally don't do it this way. Try this actually. Careful of that knee. Yikes. That's not good on the knee. Nope, nope, nope. Don't want to do that. Ouch. All right. Well, that was a fail, but better to fail than do what I was about to do to my knee the way I was twisting it. Okay. Might want that. Remember what I said earlier about a pillow on this thing? Still a good idea. Ooh. I'm on the pillow, but just a little bit further, and I can sort of get rid of the bench. Actually, I might be able to do that now. Ooh, that's hurting my left knee, though. So I got to come out a little bit. I know that looked awkward, but ah, oh, oh, yeah. Ah, mm. Oh, okay, that's more than enough. Oh boy, that's gonna be hard to get out of. Oh, oh, yeah. Oh, like both sides are trashed. Mm. Okay, come on, leg, work. Oh, there we go. Mm. Oh, oh. Okay, that's good. All right. Good night. Can I stand? Okay, I can stand. Okay, good.